A lot of rural America still doesn't have high-speed internet, even though we're in the year 2017. But thanks in part to NCTC, an 8-mile stretch of residents who live here in Trousdale County soon will be able to know what it's like to surf the net from the comfort of their homes.
So we're here today to celebrate, as the mayor said. Thanks to a grant from the RUS Department of Agriculture's Rural Utilities Service, the residents of this immediate area will have access to gig-capable broadband and services at their home by the end of this year. We're happy to welcome several officials from the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, as well as RUS, which is the Rural Utilities Service. First of all, Mr. Keith Adams is the Assistant Administrator for the Rural Utilities Services in Washington, D.C., and he flew in this morning and got here on time. Ms. Harriet Cannon is she is the Acting Tennessee State Director for the USDA for Rural Development. Harriet's with us, thank you. Joel Howard is the new USDA District Manager for our area here. And then we have Keith Head, Vance Hamilton, and Sherry McCarter, also with the USDA in Tennessee, as well as our very own Terry Kokinda, who is our field representative from RUS. So Terry, we're glad you're here. We sure do appreciate the efforts and the support from the Rural Utilities Service, not only for being here today, but for the past 66 years, because NCTC wouldn't be what we are without the support, the loans, and the grants from the RUS Rural Utility Services. So we are honored that they support us in this industry. Also, we're honored to see many of you who've worked so hard locally to bring broadband services to Trousdale County. Some of them that I think are here. Senator Farrell Hale, there he is, yes, he's here. Representative Terry Lynn Weaver, who we heard sing. Evan Freeman, are you here from Senator Alexander's office? There's Evan, yes, there he is. Emily Brockman from Representative Black's office is next to him. Mark Beeler and all the commissioners of Trousdale County and the other business leaders of Trousdale County. We're so glad you're with us today. Mr. Lewis Beasley, standing right over there. Betty Lou Taylor, Clint Satterfield, the Director of Schools, Paul Thompson with Tri-County Electric, and I'm not sure Tommy Thompson, the District Attorney for all of us, as well as a Tri-County Board member, is scheduled to be here. Warden Blair Liebach, who is of the Trousdale Turner Correctional Center, and the NCTC Board of Directors include Jackie Eller, Calvin Graves, Jerry Kirby, and Randy Harston. And most certainly those of you who are residents who wrote letters of support for this grant. Many of you, if you remember, came out on a snowy day. Lena Darnell is here. She held a pizza party on a snowy day, and you guys came and wrote letters and filled out surveys asking and signed petitions to ask for the USDA and RUS to approve a grant for you. So that was almost 3 years ago, wasn't it? This journey started about 4 years ago with a mission that Mark Beeler, Mayor Carmen, and the county leaders had to bring broadband services to all of Trousdale County. When the current service providers couldn't help, the county asked Tri-County Electric and North Central if there was something we could do to help, anything we could do to help. So over the past 4 years, we've all worked really hard to make it a reality. We've been to the state ECD, to the legislators, also to Washington, D.C. We've met with the USDA in Washington, with RUS in Washington multiple times. We've asked them down here. We've had another executive from RUS that was here a couple of years ago. And we also met with the Federal Communications Commission just to try to find a way to get broadband to Trousdale County. This particular fiber-to-the-premise build-out has been made possible by the Rural Utilities Service Connected Community Grant. It's almost $1 million, and it covers 8.4 miles. Now, the reason the grant covers 8.4 miles and not the whole county is a couple of reasons. First of all, these grants are designed to help areas that have absolutely no broadband, and where we're sitting has no broadband. It can't have anything, and it doesn't. And the other, no broadband is available either by a telephone company, a cellular company, or a cable company. So we meet that criteria right here. And secondly, each grant has a maximum dollar amount, and they're nowhere near enough to have covered the whole county, but there are spots in this county that can get wireless coverage, so that's why this area only. This grant also is allowing us to provide a small staffed community center with computers that'll be there 6 days a week to aid the residents of the county who want to come there and learn to use the computers or learn how to use the internet or what kind of neat things you can do. So we're really excited about that. You know, by having access to the fastest broadband speeds in the country, the network provides limitless potential for education, for health care, for those who want to work at home. There were several who filled out their documents, their surveys that said, I just want to be able to work at home and I can't do it from where I live today in Trousdale County. I was also delighted to learn that last week on Thursday, Tri-County Electric's board approved their building fiber to the premise to most of the remainder of Trousdale County. It's going to be a pilot project as part of the Smart Rural Grid, Electric Grid. Paul and I have worked for this goal with the county for all these years, and it's great that we'll start right here and cover this area with the grant, and then Tri-County has a plan that for most of the remainder of the county, it truly is a celebration time. So congratulations to everybody. Now I'd like you to hear from the man who had an idea. I had no idea when this started on this mission that he would be one of the first in the county to receive high-speed internet. It really just happens that he lives in the part of the county that can't get anything, so he's completely unserved. He is as passionate about bringing broadband to the residents in Trousdale as anyone I know. So please welcome Mayor Carol Carmen.
How has this pilgrimage been since being elected mayor in August of 14? The number one issue, no second place issue in the mayor's office has been, please get broadband to my home. Please help our community. We don't really have too many big highways that come through. We don't have any interstates that come through. But the missing highway that we needed so badly was that information highway that will put all of us on the map if we have high-speed internet in Trousdale County. So we've fought, and I could rehearse some of the things that Ms. Nancy has just said, but we went around and round and round, and every time we stepped forward, it seemed like we'd run into a problem. But I'm very thankful that USDA has opened the door, very thankful for our legislature opening the door for more potentials, more competition for broadband in our communities. And yes, I call it the peanut. It's sort of shaped like a peanut, this 8 miles or whatever it is that runs. If you could look through that wall right yonder in my house, it's just right over there, a mile or two. And I think if you go up to Stanley's house up here, you can see my house from Stanley's house, just right up the road. For 29 years, we've lived there. We moved there early, and we wanted to have internet. Well, we appealed to this one, to this one, to this one. Amazingly enough, this sounds competitive, but we have prayed Comcast, Comcast, Comcast so many times. And I actually had a real good friend in Comcast, and he kept promising me that we were going to have high-speed internet. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. So I become mayor, and so we start on this quest, and we're very, very thankful for it. And amazingly enough, when the whole quest started, I did not know that my house was going to be in this. So when Steve Holder came out the other day, he's a lineman for NCTC, the planner and everything. He went all over the farm as to how the route's going to be for the lines. I said, go for it. All excited, all excited. A year ago or so, I had a conversation with my wife, and we have one of these little entertainment centers that we bought 25 years ago. One of these little boxes you open up, and there's a little television in there. And so we've watched a little television all these years. And I said, honey, it's about time we got one of those big dogs. You know, my dad has like this one this wide, 60 inches or so. And she said to me, very lovingly said to me, she said, we'd like that. She said, but our county needs high-speed broadband. When you get high-speed broadband here at the house, we'll renovate the whole den area and put that in. So I want you to know, I'm excited to know that we're going to get all this into our community. I've never had it in the house, but we're very thankful for you guys being here to celebrate with us today, a very special landmark. I do want to thank USDA. Without the funds, we wouldn't be able to do that, but we're very, very appreciative of this. And welcome to Trousdale County.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, I'd like to introduce the new Acting Tennessee State Director for USDA Rural Services, Rural Development, Ms. Harriet Cannon. She's been with the USDA for 34 years in several positions, and she lives in West Tennessee, and she's now working in Nashville, and we're delighted you're here today.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank Nancy and her team, and also Mayor Carmen for your leadership. We do projects like this, investments all over the state, but until you have local leadership that believes in what you're doing, that's what's going to make it successful. So I can already tell that Nancy and her team and the mayor are so passionate about what's going to happen here. They've already expressed how important this is going to be to this area. North Central, just to give you a little background, they've been probably one of the most aggressive builders of high-speed broadband service, not only in Tennessee, but also in the nation. They've been awarded the Smart Growth Community in 2014. That was as a result of their first, experience with broadband was through 2010. They received a matching grant it was like $24 million, and then they had to match $24 million. Is that right? But they've received about $78 million investments just to build out what they've done. They are very aggressive. They're very forward-thinking, very progressive, and I know you know that because you live here and you experience that every day. But we do appreciate their vision and what they've done with broadband. So the Community Connect grant that we're announcing today and that we're celebrating is just a small part of what's yet to come. They got this grant, as she said, it's around $800,000. It actually comes in the form of a grant, but they have to make that investment. As she said, they've got to provide 2 years of free service at the community center, so they're making an investment as well. So we're just glad that we're able to have a small part in it. They have been very dedicated to the entire community. And as she said, it's going to open multiple doors for education, healthcare, economic development. I think the mayor said it's the information highway. And as you know, small businesses can't exist anymore without broadband. Industry can't exist. And I know that with these developments, then Trousdale County is just going to be going to grow and bring new industry, new businesses. I think all that kind of fits together. We were in the session where the broadband bill was signed by Governor Haslam a couple of weeks ago. There was a lot of excitement in that room when he signed that bill. And this is just another indication that state government and federal government are committed to broadband and bringing broadband to the most rural areas. But what NCTC has done since 2010 is a great example of what the whole Tennessee region really wants to accomplish. So I think they can look, the rest of the state can look at what you've done here, and it's a great example of a success. So we're looking forward to the success stories. The mayor has already talked about how excited he is, and I know the rest of you are going to be just as excited. And so we are looking forward to the successes that you're going to have. So congratulations again.
Thank you, Harriet. A few years ago, after we started working with Tri-County and the county looking for ways to get broadband funded, I contacted a lady who's very passionate about rural America and asked if she could bring us, help us bring broadband to Trousdale County. She's the former administrator for the Rural Utilities Service over the telecom, the water, and the electric programs in Washington, D.C., so she was very qualified to offer advice and help. As a matter of fact, she was in office actually when they implemented this Connected Community Grant Program that we're celebrating. So she's worked tirelessly, though, for Trousdale County and with North Central and Tri-County in trying to find funds, and I just want to give a couple of minutes to Hilda Legg.
Well, first of all, I am so excited to be here. So thank you, Nancy, for giving me just the microphone for 2 minutes. And she does limit me because she knows I could talk hours about this. But Keith Adams, welcome to true rural America. Welcome to Tennessee. And I want to say thank you because every time Nancy and her team would come up to Washington and ask to meet with you, you were always so gracious with your time and your spirit and your encouragement and your advice. And we just want to thank you. And I want you to know that they do also run over into the border of NCTC goes into Kentucky as well. So, you know, you're going to get to cover 2 states with this effort. Mayor, what a wonderful time. I mean, think about when we met downtown in Hartsville. That's been almost 3 years ago. And you were so adamant, and I'll do whatever it takes. And thank you for that kind of commitment and leadership, because that is what it takes. USDA, of course, is my favorite federal agency, having spent my term there. What I really want to say today is 2 things. To those of you that are served by NCTC and work with them, I work with companies, I work with electric co-ops and telephone co-ops all over the United States of America. There is not one that is better than NCTC. And a lot of that, when I call, it's how they treat me on the phone. When I talk to the engineers, it's how they sometimes have to explain things real simple to me about what they're trying to accomplish. But it starts at the top of a leader that is not afraid to put strong, smart people around them. And when you try to keep up with Nancy White, she's smart, she's savvy, she's energetic, she's hardworking, and she is the kind of leader that makes things happen. And she is willing to partner. I love seeing Paul here from Tri-County. And those of you that gathered, the holders on the place today to have this, it is so much about partnerships. We in rural America know how to do that. We are out here because we care about our neighbors. We care about the people down the road, and therefore we're trying to work together to make everybody's life better. Because you know what? Rural America is truly the heart and soul of the United States. It is where the values that this country is built upon, it is where they reside, and it is what has got to remain strong and vibrant. And these communities cannot do that without high-speed internet telecommunications. And so I want to give a round of applause to Nancy White and her entire team for the leadership in making this happen today. And my final thought is to those of you that are going to be the recipients of this new connectivity. This is truly government at work. This is the federal government, it's your taxpayers and everyone else's that is invested in this grant and this infrastructure. You know, I go around promoting it all the time, and I always say, if you'll just put the infrastructure in place in rural America, the work ethic and the talent of the people who live there, they will take it, they will turn it into a stronger economy, a better quality of life, a better education for their children. And this is what is being brought and given to you today. Please take advantage of it. Please use it. Become entrepreneurs. Help educate everyone that you can through all the access and availability. And that's what the center is for. If you don't have a computer, go down there and figure out how to use it, and then you'll want to buy one. Get hooked on broadband. Make the investment that everyone has brought to you. Make it pay off, because it really is all about you, the folks that live in this area. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be a part of your celebration.
Thank you, Hilda. Okay, Keith Adams is Assistant Administrator for the Telecommunications Program in the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Rural Utilities Service. In his role, he manages the telecommunications loans and grant programs with an annual budget of more than $1 billion and an investment portfolio of over $5 billion. Keith also managed the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act's Broadband Initiative Program, which Harriet mentioned North Central was a recipient of a grant and a loan from that program that awarded $2.3 billion to build broadband into unserved areas of this country. Mr. Adams holds a Bachelor of Science from Shepherd University and a Master of Science from the University of Maryland. Please welcome to Tennessee, Keith Adams.
Wow, good afternoon. Wow, good afternoon. Hilda's a hard act to follow. I bring you greetings from our Secretary Sonny Perdue, and our Acting Administrator, Chris McLean. I also want to single out Terry Kokendo, who's our General Field Representative here, and all the USDA employees from the state office and regional offices. If you're from USDA, why don't you just wave at me real quick? Thank you very much. That makes me feel a little bit better. I'm humbled and honored to be speaking to you today. I will just tell you, and I say this often, that you know, you've had a lot of speakers, the mayor and Nancy, you know, people who are a lot more qualified to be up here than I am. Hilda, Harriet, but if you are obedient and faithful, you will be promoted. So if I can stand up here, trust me, anybody can. Our Community Connect grants are for areas that are really unserved. You know, you can't have more than 4 megabytes down and 1 megabyte up, as Nancy mentioned, you know. Very competitive. You get to draw your service area, but we send our Terry Kokendo and his counterparts out to see whether, in fact, it is less than 4 megabytes down and 1 megabyte up. Just to give you context, last year we received almost 70 applications, and we only awarded 7, and NCC was one of those. I won't talk about how important broadband is. You heard it from the mayor down to Hilda about being competitive, creating jobs, creating opportunities, leveling the playing field. But I just want to tell you that what we do in the Rural Utility Service Telecommunications Program is we wake up every day trying to figure out how we can give more loans, how we can give more grant money to companies like NCTC. In fact, we have a loan in-house that we're analyzing right now for NCTC and for a couple of other companies in Tennessee. Since 2010, we've invested over $76 million in Tennessee in broadband through all of our programs, our traditional infrastructure program, our broadband initiative program, our Farm Bill broadband program, and our 2 grant programs. And just in the Community Connect grant arena, we've had $6 million worth of loans since 2010. So we're just proud to be able to help. And no matter what you hear about the direction of the rural utility service or rural development, we're doing what we can to make sure that we're helping people. So thank you, and I don't want to stand between us and food, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Keith. Okay, before we step over to the groundbreaking area and then back for lunch, I want to say thank you to some of the many who've really made today work, including Stanley, Jason, and Blake Holder and their families for honoring us and letting us use their farm. Jesse Clemens, who's done a beautiful job of music for us. Ramona Wilmore, Amy Phelps, and the wonderful North Central employees who've done a beautiful job here today. Okay, so would the groundbreakers please join us over at the shovels and then help yourself to lunch.
Then it was time to conduct the official groundbreaking. NCTC hopes to have fiber installed in Trousdale County by the end of the year. Residents who live on Chute Road, Storytown Road, Gammons Lane, Middle Fork Road, and Seltzer Road will have service soon. NCTC will also install fiber to portions of Halltown Road. Reporting from Trousdale County, Barry Hyatt, NCTV.